A Raspberry Pi streamer, huh? Well, you might be wondering, well, what's that? Although if you're here, you probably have some idea what we're talking about. But let's set the scene anyway. So basically, a music streamer is just a device that lets you play music wirelessly. And we're going to set up the Raspberry Pi mini computer to be that streamer for us. There are lots of devices out there that are streamers these days, from stuff like Google Home and the Amazon Echo that also act as streamers, even though they do a lot more. And then there's things like the Sonos system, which is probably the most well-known, geared specifically for music system that is similar to like the Google Home speakers or the Amazon Echo. Then there's also stuff like the Bluesound Node 2, which is getting more towards the audiophile market. And then there's the hi-fi market, where there's all kinds of crazy expensive things out there. Like, I don't know how you pronounce this, but the name Unity Atom player, it's like $3,300. And that's just the starting point. Like, there's all kinds of crazy stuff in that level. Then there's also streaming built into a lot of modern receiver amplifiers, like this Onkyo here. Okay, so streaming is everywhere, but what I'm looking to do is have one device that has all my digital music on it that I can connect to my amp and control wirelessly. And that's exactly what the Raspberry Pi streamer is going to do for us. With this setup, we're going to get hi-fi audio quality for as little as $50, or with a few upgrades, a little over $200. The setup I'm going to show you with the Allo DigiOne add-on should surpass the quality of something like the Sonos and begin to approach those high-end hi-fi systems, all for $225 including shipping. So here's the hardware setup that I got, and I've sped up the setup process. I had a little bit of trouble with the case as it didn't come with any instructions, but I eventually got it. So let's take a look. Just a two-part system here with hardware. Got a Raspberry Pi. I'm going with a Raspberry Pi, probably won't focus on it. But anyway, the Raspberry Pi 4. I just went with the top model. It's not, you don't need it for this. You can do it on a 3. Then there's a hat. So this is the Allo DigiOne. You could do this without this. You could do it with just the Raspberry Pi and use its audio out, either the HDMI or the 3.5-inch, audio jack. But this is going to up the quality of the sound. So the Raspberry Pi, it's a $35 computer. It doesn't have the best audio on the planet. It's okay. Depending on who you are, you might not even notice, but it's not the best. So this is just a small upgrade. You attach it to the Raspberry Pi. It's just a little board. It's got a thing here that will go along the Raspberry Pi. I got it with a case that will hold both. So this fits in it. So it's not just a regular Raspberry Pi case. These are separate, but I think they will work. And that is, I've got a couple heatsink kits. Better safe than sorry, as far as I'm concerned. This came with everything, the hardware, all the screws and the mounts, and it's clearly just laser cut clear plastic is all this is. I thought it looked okay. Some people think it looks cheap. I think it looks fine. It's a Raspberry Pi streamer. The kind of whole point is that it's kind of cheap. So I think actually the case looks pretty nice with these steel standoffs. I think it actually looks pretty good. Let's start by opening this bad boy up. So this is the Pi itself. Again, this is the 4. So it has USB-C, your audio jack, then of course USB and Ethernet. And the hat, of course, plugs in here to these pins right here. And so instead of using this standard audio, I'll be using this digital. It's a digital audio out that will still have to go into a DAC. But you do get a little card here that shows you how to do some things. I'm not sure what this first one is. I'm supposed to look at something. I can't quite tell what that's supposed to be. Look at a piece of paper. I don't know. Maybe that's I'm supposed to read the user thing. Watch out for temperatures. See here? So that's why I got the heat sinks. Okay, that's enough. Let's get into this here. Wasting time. Probably cut all that. All right. So again, I've got this bad boy. These are your case pieces. This is just the power brick. So this is a USB-C power brick. This will actually output 3.5 amps. And of course, you'll need an micro SD card. I went with a 32 gig model. Step 1 would be the heat sinks. Yeah, set of 2. So actually 1 is just spare. So yeah, just gonna figure out how this opens. I can be smarter than the package. Okay. They go on the chips here. This large one is here for the main processor, and this long one is for whatever this chip is next to it. Not actually sure. And then you've got 2 small ones here that I believe are for these 2 chips. Here, they're probably, but that's kind of big for that one. Maybe they just didn't bother making one smaller. Maybe I should look that up. I looked it up, and I was right. So this is pretty straightforward. You peel the backing off of here and stick these on. This should be basically adhesive thermal compound mix. Let me make sure that's not going to prevent this from working. If that would hit this, that would have been bad. But I think I'm okay here. I should have checked that. Okay. So this one's gonna go here, like so. Peel off the backing. And then I'm gonna try to drop it on with these tweezers, because I want to try to center it since it's way bigger than the chip itself. Like so. Do this one. Similar. I'm going to use the old tweezers to try to drop it in place. Hopefully that will keep things cool, and we won't have any overheating problems. You have 2 different kinds of connectors you can use, the BNC or the coax. I'll be using the coax digital out to my DAC. But that is it. It feels like I've missed something because these pieces of plastic rattle. And so I feel like I have a screw loose or something. I mean, besides up in the head. So that's it. You've got your access to your ports on the back, audio ports and video ports on the side, and everything else is just ventilation. So next step is to load software onto here. Step 1 is we need to download some software. So this is a really straightforward process, but I thought I'd go over it. The Volumio website has very clear directions. So we'll go online here and go to the Volumio website, and we can just go straight to Get Started, and that will of course take you to the download page. I do want the Raspberry Pi version, but you can run this on all kinds of stuff, but we're going to go with Raspberry Pi, obviously. And we'll download the file. It's going to give us a zip file that is going to take a little while. In the meantime, we can look at the instructions here. So the other thing is we need to flash our SD card. So hopefully you have a SD card reader. You can just grab some sort of universal USB card reader, whatever works for you, right? But what we need is another download. So right here we have to download. I'm going to use, I haven't tried Etcher before. There's lots of different things you can use to burn the SD card, or rip it or install it, whatever you want to call it, onto the micro SD card. And I'm going to try Etcher since they're recommending it. So I'll download that. So this will just write the image file to your SD card. That's all it's going to do. We got to wait for those to download. I'm going to open my SD card. In the meantime, maybe if it would come out. Come on. Let's go out of your home. Okay. There's the SD card. Now I have a million of these SD to micro SD adapters. Oh my god, I have so many. Okay. Probably some of you do too. But my card reader has the micro SD slot, so I'm going to use that. But if not, obviously use your adapter. I'm just going to plug in a USB to micro SD. Now we can go back, open Etcher. So I think I need to install it. So let's go ahead and run the installer. After the instructions, I'm actually done with the browser, but I'm going to leave that for now. And agree to do my install. Boom, just like that. I can flash my drive. So I'm going to go from file, because I already downloaded the zip file that I want. And now I need to take it to where it is. It's in my downloads. Here it is, the Volumio zip image. I don't believe you need to uncompress it or anything. This will do it automatically. So then, of course, we need to select our target. It would be the storage device that is 32 gig. That's the kind I bought. It should just find usually a USB drive or an SD card that it locates. So we'll go ahead and select that and flash. Yes. Windows, be very careful. Who knows what this software could do? I don't know what the accent. Okay. Windows has an accent, I guess. I don't know why. Hopefully that wasn't offensive. Not sure. So yeah, I've never used this Balena Etcher. Seems to work pretty good. There's all kinds of imaging software out there. Okay, so that's it. We can close this and this, and that's actually done. All we need to do is stick the SD card in, as it says here, plug in Ethernet, connect any hardware that you're going to use to store your music, connect it to potentially Wi-Fi. So I am just going to use Ethernet because mine is going to be right next to where my router is. That's it. So we can now take our micro SD and plug it into our Raspberry Pi. Raspberry Pi with the DigiOne, the micro SD card. That needs to be put in. Goes right there. Yeah, it's a little tricky. Maybe a lot tricky. There we go. Oh, got it. A hard drive. Network cable. Let's plug everything in. Power it up and see what happens. Powered it on. It's got Volumio running, apparently. Here in the Get Started section, if you scroll down, it now has Connect It right here. So you go to volumio.local on your device. So this could be on your phone, which is probably what I'll usually do. So let's see if this works. It looks like it's working. So I'm going to go with English. Name. It's got the DigiOne hat on it. We'll call it DigiMusic. Very creative. I have an I2S DAC. There, here we go. Okay. Huh. That is what we want because I put a hat on mine. So if you hadn't, you would leave it. If you just had a plain Raspberry Pi, you would leave it here and you'd pick one of these. If you have a USB DAC, plug in your USB DAC and power it up to the Raspberry Pi, and it will show up right here as a USB device. So you'll have headphones, HDMI, and USB. I did, in fact, do a hat, and so I have the Allo DigiOne on mine. So you have to let it know that that's what you're using. I want full. I don't want simplify. I want the full set of options. Full on. We'll go with my wireless network. I don't know why it needs to connect to the Wi-Fi. It's on Ethernet, but whatever. Well, I'm just going through, like, sure. So now I should need to add new drive. No. So I expected the USB drive to show up here. It does not. This is only for connecting network drives. If you have a USB drive, you just skip past this and it will detect it just fine. I was expecting that drive to fail. It was really old. I was having some trouble with it when I connected it to some of my Windows computers. And so when I didn't see it here, I just jumped right in and was like, oh, the hard drive's not working. And that was a mistake. I should have just moved forward and with this part of the process. It'll detect everything, you know, the little rotating icon detects all of your music, boom, no problem. So skip past this if you're USB, don't get hung up here expecting your USB drive to show up. Top tip. I'm gonna hit next even though I still don't have my drive here. So let's see here. So apparently it is attempting to search and find everything in my library. All right. Oh, so it's finding stuff. Okay, okay. Holy hell. The lightning storm right now is insane. So it's finding all these. I just put everything on this hard drive and there's some real, but it is finding all of this music on here. So now the cool thing is you can access this on your phone, any device. When I hit play here, it will play out there on my actual stereo system. And if I did one of these, I'd get, you know, like a copyright strike. Look, I'll show you what it looks like real quick on a phone and kind of a little bit of what the interface looks like on the phone. You've already seen it on the computer once I showed that it was up and running. So I'm just going to do that really fast. So step one here is to launch Chrome. I found that it works slightly better in Chrome than in Firefox, strangely enough. Once you launch it, your Chrome, you would normally go to digimusic.local. I have that currently broken on my system because the IP address changed and the phone can't figure it out. So anytime that happens, just go to the IP address. This is my one on my Ethernet. With Chrome, you may need to type in the full HTTP there like it has here. The http://192 or it tries to do a Google search for this IP address. So stupid. But as long as you don't like reset your router and everything like I did, if you type digimusic.local here, it should work. But if not, this is the answer. So this is the play screen here, and if you hit the little down, you're at home, where your main is, favorites, playlists, music library, which is like where your folders are. So like here's the folders that I've set up on the hard drive. Then you got artist, album, genre, web radio, which I've tried and it works. If we go to, say, the album list, then I'm going to play one of the copyright-free music stuff I've put on here, which are these. Here, I'll just pick some Creative Commons or the YouTube library. I shouldn't get any copyright strikes. So then if I just click on one, it's now playing.
So it's just like that. And then you click here, and this is like the play screen. Down here is the playlist. So it just decided, the way I clicked on it, it's playing the whole library in a playlist. That might be a little too loud. I may have to turn that down. That's basically it. So kind of a standard interface you might expect. Plus here adds to a playlist. The heart obviously adds to your favorite list, which I haven't really done much with. If you hit the 3 dots next to anything and say I want to go to another one of these, I hit the 3 dots and add to queue. So now it's the next one down on the queue there. The volume functionality only works for certain systems. I have to adjust the volume on my stereo. Oh yeah, then of course you can do a search. So there's a search key down here, and if I click that, I can start typing things in and it will find stuff on the system. So I just typed DEF. I don't know, sometimes it scrolls halfway down for some reason. Anyway, there's like Deftones and Def Leppard because I typed in Def, just standard search stuff. One other thing, so if you're in any one of these views, this changes your view from that kind of list mode to like kind of like an album, which it auto found most of these, but you can set that up. I just, my libraries are a mess. I believe if you put an image in these folders, it will use that image, or it will try to auto find some. That's basically it. Thanks for watching. That's it for this one. Let me know if you want to see the video on assembling the DigiOne case. Be happy to throw it up. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next random video about who knows what. Video games, tech equipment, probably something like that. Or maybe I'll switch to cooking. That's popular these days. We'll see you later. I'm supposed to be walking you through this being helpful, and instead, I'm like doing everything wrong. I'm breaking my network. Like, Jesus Louises. I suppose if you're using Roon, it would make sense that you go with the Raspberry Pi, since once you have Roon, that's all you can afford. Anyway, so people complain about Roon being expensive.